Outside of that, I would just, cram the night before, or just reread the slides and stuff like that, or just not study and hope I listened enough, which I can't do. But mostly the group stuff, I did pretty well.
Okay. So the next part of this process is going to be to brainstorm some alternatives. So right now we're not thinking about necessarily what is possible or what is the best plan. We're just trying to think of options for you to use. How would you feel about approaching that aspect today?
I would like to do that.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is just to start thinking of some ways that you can, or some opportunities available to you to approach the studying portion for this exam. So things that might assist you in preparing for the exam based on the definition of our problem.
So things I would need to help me study?
Yes.
I would like to have a group of people, probably.
Okay.
That'd be good. A clear defined schedule would be nice to have. That'd be a good thing. That's probably all I really need.
Okay.
And the materials to do it all.
So what I'm hearing you say so far is that a group of people to study with is helpful for you. Actually getting the study material. And was it creating, did you say creating a schedule?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's 3 options so far. I just want to ask you that, and to elaborate in regards to that group of people. What would that group of people look like?
Probably people who are also looking to get their designation. People who are in the field as well. That way it's more commonality. It's easier to collaborate with those kind of people rather than people who are just good studiers, but they don't really know the material, so it can be more difficult.
Okay. So when you say group of people to study with, your ideal group of people would be people that are currently working through the same material, that are taking the exam around the same time. Would that be correct based on what you said?
That is correct.
Perfect. And when you talk about the study materials, can you elaborate a little bit more about what would be helpful about the study materials?
Well, I don't really know what to study. So aside from the behavioral aspect of the test, I don't know what it has. So it'd be nice to have some guides and some pre-tests just to gauge my knowledge and see where I am, so I know what to get better at, then I know what I'm good at.
Fantastic. So I'm hearing you say that it's really more content driven.
Yes.
So you need to know the content to focus on.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything you would need from an organizational standpoint? You talked a lot about how motivation was a factor in your study plans before. Tell me what effect the organization would have on studying for this exam.
Make my job?
Not your organization as a company, but more creating organization in actually approaching the study materials.
Right. That would be a very important thing, considering it would help me understand what I need to know on a certain day and time. I would be able to focus on specific things rather than just kind of reading generally in a broad sense of the word. So I'd have more direction.
How do you feel that would affect your motivation?
It would probably help a little bit because then I would get better at one thing at a time. And it'd be more, I guess, more measurable than incrementally getting better at everything, which is harder to see progress.
So, to recap the options so far, this brainstorm session, it sounds like working with a group that is also taking the exam is a great option for you, is one. The second option would be getting the actual content of the test and taking a look at what you feel confident and what you don't, and approaching it that way.
Yes.
We also talked a little bit just now about the organization. And, you know, kind of laying it out, like you said, in a bit more of a stepwise progression.
Yes.
What would have been a better way to say that for you?
Who says it? Me? Says it?
So when I'm talking a little bit about the organization, I'm saying stepwise. What would be a better way to say that? About how that would be a layout? Would it be a schedule? Or?
A schedule would probably be, well, yeah, or a calendar I think would be good.
Okay.
Because that way I could, specific dates, I do this. You know, like wash the dishes, learn about labor law.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying that for me. And the last option we talked about was so we talked about the organization.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about sending in a group. We talked about getting materials.
Yeah, that was all.
That was all of it. Perfect. Okay. So, do you have anything else you would like to add to that list?
No, I do not. I think that's a good list of what I need.
Perfect. So, how would you feel now about looking through that list and evaluating those options based on what's realistic for you at this time?
Let's do it.
Okay, perfect. So, let's take the first option. You talked about working in a group.
Yes.
What would you have to do in order to work towards finding that group of people?
I have no idea. I'd probably have to look on the internet, on the membership website to see if that's a thing they do. Talk to people who've done it before. Just kind of focus group it, see if I can find it.
Okay. Does that seem like a viable option for you? Does that seem like something that you could find out?
I could find out if it's an option. To say if it's realistic, I don't know yet. I'd have to wait to see if I can find people.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about how you would end up meeting with those people. What that might look like.
Well, find them, email, set up schedules, find maybe a Google Doc or something like that. We could all edit together to find a time to get together. Go to coffee shops, houses, things like that.
Okay, perfect. And in regards to the second option, you talked about getting the study content.
Mm-hmm.
What would you have to do to start working on that plan?
Well, I just have to make the effort to go get it. It's not difficult to get. You just go on the website and order it. It takes no time.
Okay, so that, what I'm hearing you say is that option sounds pretty easy to accomplish.
Yeah, that I could probably do in 20 minutes.
And the third option we discussed was the organizational sort of calendar schedule.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel that would, how do you feel you would need to move to start working on that plan or goal?
Well, I just have to, once I get the first 2 steps together, I have to make plans to write down everything and probably digitally somewhere or in a book, just to say this is what I'm doing, this is when I'm doing it. Set alarms so I remember to do it, because I'll forget. And just be diligent and note-taking and noting the times I have to do stuff.
How realistic is that option for you then?
It's realistic. I have to get used to it.
Okay, so if we were to look at all of the options, what would make you, which option seems the most intuitive or most comfortable for you?
The group, I think, yeah. I like group work.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how you feel in regards to what option might help you the most.
Organization. I'm not an organized person, so that's something that would be a benefit for sure.
Okay. So if we were to start to take our evaluation of these options and kind of rank these options, it sounds like you talked a little bit about how the group is something that you feel most comfortable starting to pursue, but that there are some difficulties in trying to make sure that's a viable option.
Yeah.
However, on the other side, the organizational option sounds like it's pretty easy to start to accomplish, but that, you know, it's something that's a little bit harder for you to continue with and really stick with on your own.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. So with that understanding, are you feeling or leaning towards one option in particular?
The group stuff, I think. It's more difficult, but I think once it's done, it's overall more of a benefit.
Okay. Excellent. So based on the plans that were discussed, you're feeling that the group option is going to be the best one for you.
Yes, I do.
So in our evaluation of the different options, we discussed a little bit about first steps to get a good idea of how viable such an option would be.
Mm-hmm.
And it is important to you. So what would be the first steps to start to implement a plan of finding a group?
The first steps, I don't know, maybe just start looking around, asking people. Maybe even write down a to-do list for getting that kind of stuff done. Would be good.
What would be on that to-do list?
Find a group of people. I know, probably talk to some people in the HR community. I have a couple former bosses who I could reach out to. I know some people my age group that work in the field. Talk to my boss, see if she knows anybody. Just reach out to the HRIA and see what they say. All those things would be on the list for sure.
Okay. So that's a great list.
Thank you.
How do you feel about moving forward with one of those options?
Do you mean the options on the list?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Okay. Which option that you listed do you think would be the most obtainable one to start with?
Talking to my boss, she's very approachable, so that would be pretty straightforward stuff.
Okay. So we've obviously moved into a bit of the planning phase here. And what I'm hearing you say is that in creating that group, that you're going to need to start talking to people.
I gotta talk to people.
And talking to people in your field, those that are looking to take the exam, and also those that are already well versed in the field, such as your current boss.
Yes.
Okay. And what I'm hearing you say is that talking to her is something you feel very comfortable with. You're okay approaching her about this. Is that correct?
That is, yeah, I would have no problems talking to her about it.
Okay. So, we've gone through defining the problem today, which is, you know, what exactly your concern is around the test. And what we discussed was that it was really the study plan, and creating a good plan for studying.
Pretty much.
And that your thoughts and feelings related to that, without a plan, you feel very anxious and worried about the outcome of the exam. And we talked a little bit about the fact that groups are a comfortable place for you to study. They've been successful in the past.
It's true.
And if possible, you'd like to seek out a group to study with now.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And your first step in the plan to find a group is to talk to your boss about where to look to source these people.
Yeah, just to kind of get some inside information.
Okay. So leaving today's session, based on what we've talked about, what is your first step in this plan going to be?
Talk to my boss.
And what do you feel is a realistic timeline for that?
We can talk to her on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, we have meetings, but we can work around it.
So leaving today's session, how do you feel about starting this plan with talking to your boss and getting a little bit more information from her?
I feel pretty good. It's definitely a realistic goal.
How would you feel about talking about the outcome of that at our next session?
I like it.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Adam. I think you've created great next steps in regards to your study plan, and I look forward to hearing more about them.
I'll keep you posted, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you.